Harmonic Health, the secret to longevity and wellness. Welcome, evolutionaries. Today, I'm wicked excited to be here today because today I'm going to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart. Because many of you have talked to me and sent me messages and notes around doing an episode on nutrition and vitality and health, and I was like, wow, that's kind of cool because I was like very into the whole hippie scene and very much into I was vegan for years, and I was actually raw vegan for 3.5 years, meaning that I ate no cooked food. I've done live blood analysis. I have looked at and studied hemoglobin and chlorophyll under microscopes, so I know a lot about nutrition and food. And I was thinking to myself, well, how can I present and talk about something that other people just don't really talk about on YouTube? And so I was thinking about the electric body, because I've talked about the electromagnetic field, the torus of that originates from the heart, the sun spark, the spark of God that resides within you, the God force. And certainly, as the God force resides within you, you can heal all things relative to your physical being just by activating that God force. Now, some of us may not quite be there yet, and of course we all have fluctuations. I've actually been fortunate and blessed enough to, as you know, I've fallen on my head, got knocked out of my body, where I lived in different dimensions for months, and got all these great instructional trainings. But even after that, I had some challenges, health challenges, which the doctor said was incurable. And I went in and I meditated for days in a row, and it's gone. It vanished. Now, but with that being said, everything has a time and a place, and miracles do happen, and we're all capable of miracles because you are a God. You have the God force, the God spark inside of you. But let me step back for a second and talk to you about Christology, which I talked to you about, I think 2 or 3 episodes ago, where when Jesus walked the earth, it was not called Christianity. Christianity, the anti part was tied on by the Catholic Church, which really corrupted the teachings of Christ. Another story. But for right now, let's focus on Christology, because the discussions of the day when Jesus walked the earth was what percentage God was he versus what percentage human, because after all, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So how can we activate that spiritual essence, that God force within us? And of course, that's what I've talked about here with regards to the heart source, the spark of God that resides within your heart. You can heal anything. But as let's just say for argument's sake that Christ was 70% God and 30% human. Maybe we're 30% God and relative to activation, we are holy spiritual beings. And then 70% human. Yes, that's correct. Or maybe, who knows, maybe I'm 10% activated in the God force and 90% human. But the point is we have to take care of the physical body. And so I was wondering exactly what I should talk to you about today. And the big thing that came to me, because I've talked about the electromagnetic field that originates from the heart, is that the body is electric. And a lot of people have never really come to that understanding that the body is electric. The body operates off electric currents. Every organ in the body has a specific voltage, believe it or not. And I've had the pleasure back in the day to hang out with some really cool naturopathic doctors, homeopathic doctors, just incredible people that invented and just discovered all these amazing cures. And actually, sadly, some of them disappeared because Big Pharma doesn't like natural remedies. And then I've had other friends who had very prestigious clinics that were just shut down. And this goes back, hundreds, it's just crazy. And I'm one of those few people that, I own my own Rife machine. I've got a friend that doesn't live too far from here that has Tesla coils and all kinds of things that are dealing with harmonics and frequencies. that can heal you completely naturally. As a matter of fact, one of my doctors has a specific laser, or Seizure. Seizure is sound activated laser technology, where she can actually point this Seizure at an organ that she sees is deficient, because they can actually measure a deficiency in voltage and recharge that organ, so that organ, whether it's the liver or whatever, I'll say if you had too much wine, but seriously, but they can actually recharge that organ through by enhancing the voltage, because when the voltage falls, that's when degeneration happens. That's when you become de-harmonic, because again, the body is electric, and it's so very important, because when the electrical field of the body falls because of the food we've eaten, or whatever it might be, it means that we are, our body is no longer oxygenated, and oxygen is the key to keeping our body alkaline. And you may or may not have ever heard the term keeping your body alkaline, but it's just like a swimming pool. You dip the test stick into a swimming pool, and you either have an acidic water body or an alkaline water, a perfect pH. So, and of course, you can be more alkaline than acidic. But the point here I'm trying to make is that when you're not oxygenated, when your body is not electrically operating the way it needs to operate, your oxygen falls and you become acidic. And the only way a disease like cancer or whatever it might be can be within the body is if the body is acidic, if it is not oxygenated, because cancer cannot, it's a fungus actually, it cannot exist relative to being in a oxygenated environment. And that's so very important to understand. So as we look at the spiritual aspects, we also, because the physical aspect, the body temple, there has to be a balance. And this balance, or this entanglement, creates this human God force spark that allows us to go on in this form unhinged, meaning that we are free to live really as long as we want to live. I mean, the biblical stories around people living 200, 300, 800 years is absolutely possible. The way that our DNA is structured, and by the way, our DNA is crystalline. So the crystalline structure, just like any crystal, can be programmed. And as we program it, and just like, a long time ago I talked about a crystal radio, we can attune the crystals within our DNA, the crystalline structure, the hexagonal structure within that DNA, in order to live forever and live, but it takes power to do that. And part of that power is the electric component, which is so vital to talk about, is why I'm talking about that now. So what do I do? What do I recommend? Well, I recommend minerals, which is funny because I've never really heard anybody really talk about minerals. They talk about probiotics, this and that, and I kind of go on the whole thing about that. But when you talk about minerals and mineralizing the water, in your body, and drinking water, we're talking about alkaline water, not just tap water, but really good, pure water. You're talking about two things that are conducting electricity, which will enliven your body, because it's wonderful in the sense that you can actually feel the difference in your body, in your motion, by becoming by the purification process in the electricity flowing. It's almost like watching one of those cool movies where sparks flying off people. Well, that's really what's happening, because once you become more electric, you are greater tapped into the field structure within the physical body with the spiritual body, because again, we have to look at how we can balance the entanglement of the two. And it's absolutely critical. Now, the other thing I recommend, because plants, in eating more than 50% raw food, raw plants, is absolutely critical. Now, what's interesting about raw food, or raw plants, is that plants have an intelligence. Plants, they have a soul. And so when you eat something like a plant that is alive, it actually averages up your life force. Plus, plants are full of, they're very hydrating. And what's interesting about a plant, and I don't remember if I mentioned this just a second ago, but a plant, the chlorophyll in a plant is actually only one molecule different than the hemoglobin, than our blood, the heme in our body. So our blood at the core has iron. And the plant at the core of this molecular structure has magnesium. And so they actually used to use plant chlorophyll for blood transfusions back in the early 1900s and 1800s, and it works perfectly. So plants are our friends, and plants also are loaded with natural antioxidants, proteins, and people are like, protein? I thought you had to eat meat to get protein. Well, no, actually, just like the same place cows get their protein, they get it from plants. When you eat meat, and I'm not picking on meat eaters because I eat some meat now, but it is secondhand protein, meaning that it is not as bioavailable, and that's kind of an interesting word. So bioavailability. Bioavailability basically means that your body can absorb it, that it can be nutrified from that specific protein. So a plant protein is going to be more bioavailable than a meat protein. And really, it's not even the protein that you need. That's a myth. You need the amino acid, but that's a whole different conversation. But my point here is to nutrify the body, to really focus and see what and how you can mineralize your body. And here's one of the things that I rotate and get like different minerals. And this is humic, and I've got different ones that I rotate in. The important thing is to take minerals, because I'll give you a great example, because I've studied soil. Of course, who doesn't study soil, right? And I can tell you that the deficit of nutritional value that plants today have from the soil today is lacking. So in other words, if I was going to eat a salad 30 years ago, 40 or 50 years ago, and I would have to eat 30 salads today to get the same nutritional value of the salad that I ate 30 years ago. That's how deficient our soil is. So it is absolutely important for you to supplement, because supplementation, and when I say supplement, not just any vitamin or any supplement, but always make sure that it is a food grade supplement or vitamin, because there are so many vitamins out there that are synthetic, that are not made from real food. And so there's a real difference regarding bioavailability. And if you take anything away from this particular episode, I want you to remember the term bioavailable, because that is the secret to everything. And something that may be bioavailable to me may be different to you because of your genetic history, meaning that, for example, if somebody from Japan ate a potato from Ireland, typically, not always, but typically because of the genetics, that potato is poisonous to the Japanese person. And so you, based on your heritage, not blood type diet, but this is more of a hereditary, where you come from diet. And by the way, I don't buy into the whole blood type diet anyway, because I am O positive, and O positive should be like these meat eating kind of cannibal guys. And I'm not. I actually, like I said, I was vegan for well over 10 years, and I was raw for 3.5 years, and I thrived. And I'm actually moving back down that path, because this is just the path that feels good to me, and it's not something that's ethical, because I knew a lot of ethical vegans, and I still know a lot of ethical vegans that won't even eat honey. And they're good friends and good people. My point is that eat what is going to nourish you, to nutrify your body. And I talked about the bioavailability, but let me just kind of step back, because if you're going to eat meat, you want to make sure that any fish you eat is not farm raised, because farm-raised fish swim in their own filth. I mean, they're disgusting, and it's full of chemicals. You want to make sure that if you do eat salmon or some fish, that it's wild caught. If you eat meat from steak, you want to make sure that that steak, that meat is organic. It is not filled with growth hormones and other things, because what they do, and chicken as well, because chickens 20, 30 years ago were like this big, and today they're this big. It's because of the growth hormones. And this is actually one of the reasons why people are crazy sick today with regards to cancer, if they, because the doctors, they don't study nutrition. Actually, the AMA back in the early 1900s, because of the Rockefellers, actually stopped the education of nutrition within medical schools. I remember back in like early 2000s, they were going to expand the nutritional teaching of medical schools in California from 2 hours to 10 hours. And I think the pharmaceutical companies, if I recall, because I haven't looked at this in years, spent over $100 million to defeat that movement, because they want you to not, or your doctors not to tell you to eat properly. They want you to eat, like in the hospital, eat Jell-O. That's gelatin. That's not good for you. So I think you get my point. So the point is to nutrify your body, stay supercharged. The electric component is absolutely vital. Eat fresh fruits and vegetables, because again, you've got all these great minerals and nutrients in these living foods, because what's happening is these living foods are actually, again, I mentioned this earlier, but it's so important to repeat, is they are enhancing your life force. They are averaging up your life force. If you eat something dead, and I've eaten fish and stuff, but if you've eaten something dead, overall, it's going to lower your life force. It has to, because you are eating something, and it's not about calories. It's not about protein. It's about life and living foods. And when you get into the living aspects of going down this rabbit hole, I can guarantee you it is going to be a crazy awakening. Now, one more thing that I will recommend, because when I make a smoothie, I put all kinds of crazy stuff, blueberries, all this kind of stuff in there, but I also put this. Now, you have to be careful with this. And not too many places sell this, but this is like liquid oxygen. So I'll put a squirt of this in, and it's hydrogen peroxide. So you guys are going, hydrogen peroxide? Well, that's what my mom put on my cuts. Well, no, this is a food-grade hydrogen peroxide. It's 35%. So it is liquid oxygen. And if you get it on your skin, it will burn your skin. It will, and I probably shouldn't be talking about this on this video, but my point is, skip this. But my point is oxygenate your body. You oxygenate your body. Your body becomes more spiritually awakened. You become more alive. The life force in your body. Even me, I'm encroaching 60, and so I did some things because I was losing my hair. I was like, okay, well, what do I need to do? Because me, I'm like this super kind of research guy with regards to food and nutrition, and I tweaked a couple things in my diet, and certainly I've got a little bald spot back here still, but but it's growing back, and it's longer. As you guys who have been with me forever, and I'm even wearing a kale shirt. It's I'm like going back to old hippy dippy days. But what I really want to do is just kind of impress on you to oxygenate your body, to be aware that your body is electric. So eat minerals, mineralize your body, drink good water. All of these things will flush your body. And what happens, because your body really is the antenna for your spiritual essence, if you will, you now are able to, because of the purity of this temple, just like a pyramid. Remember, a pyramid, what does a pyramid stand for? Pyramid. So pira is fire in the middle. So that's the heart in the middle. So the electromagnetic field that's emanating from your body temple is magnified because of the purification of the temple that that your spirit is within. So you've taken the God force activation to a completely different level, and that's just exciting for me. So I know this is kind of like a different video for me, but leave me comments, thoughts, if you want me to do more kind of deep dive on some specific things relative to nutrition. Like I said, I've done live blood analysis, I've done all kinds of things and studied with all kinds of great doctors. It's really exciting. And so in one of these days, I'm in the process of looking at launching a food brand, which will be tied into all of these bioavailable high energetics that will nutrify the body to take that soul catalyst, that God force, to the next level. So leave me your questions. I love you guys so much. Thank you for asking me to do this. I mean, I was really thrilled that some of you guys are like, you didn't really know my background. But I know like all kinds of cool things around nutrition and health. And so I just want to share that with you. So if you're interested in more or learning more, just let me know and say, hey, Joe, da-da-da-da, in the comments below, or some of you guys send me private messages. Just do that. Much love, and I look forward to seeing you soon. See you later. Bye-bye.